Hey guys, I'm back with another video for today, and this time it is my Mk4 GTI VR6. So this car doesn't make as much horsepower as my Mk7, but that's not really the focus for this, or that's not what I built it. The way I built it right now is not for straight line horsepower like my Mk7. But this car was kind of more focused as a autocross. What? Someone wants to race? Okay, let's go then. This car doesn't make as much at all as my Mk7. This car makes about somewhere in the area of 230, 225, somewhere in that general area. While my Mk7 makes like high 200s. But this car, it's got its own perks for sure. Obviously, as you can see, it's the VR6, so it's not the boosted 2-liter turbo on my Mk7, and it is a manual transmission. And yes, I do know how to drive manual. This is my first car to ever learn manual, so you can already tell how that went before I replaced the clutch on this. So yeah. For right now, the car is on Bilstein shocks on all four corners. For the springs in the front, I believe they're iBox. Like there's some German iBox. Like the way they are worded are all in German. So I don't know if that's how they do it as on the old iBox springs, but everything is in German. All the part numbers, prints, even the iBox. Brand name on the actual spring is in German, so I don't know what's that about. But for the rears, I changed it out for an H&R lowering springs in attempt to lower it more. But it probably lowered it about, I don't know, half an inch, which is not worth it at all. Front, I'm kind of happy with it because it's about 2 fingers, while the back is about 3, 4, which is, I know it's a monster truck, okay, but yeah. So it has those. It has the Autotech intake. I tried researching some of these parts myself, if I can see, just for, I don't know, to see if they're still available, and yeah, some of them are not anymore, and the intake is one of them. First time that I drove this car, it was very rough, as any first ever manual drivers ever. It was very rough for sure. I got honked at a bunch of times by normal civilians. So, and the radiator started leaking. So I replaced that with the ECS tuning aluminum radiator. So that's keeping that VR6 nice and cooled down for sure. Even though the primary auxiliary fan doesn't pretty sure a bunch of the bushings in the suspension is already worn down and needs to be replaced. I've already done a bunch of maintenance things on this car. I've done the stage 2 or 3 south bend clutch, serviced the transmission as well while I was there, did the rear main seal, the slave cylinder, I think that's what it's called. So that too. I taken the valve cover off to do the valve cover seals and spark plug seals for the spark plug. I've done spark plugs, coolant, brakes. I haven't done brake fluid though, so I still need to do that. So, and obviously, as you can tell, I've already changed the wheels on it because the stock wheels that I had was decent, but it just didn't give the car the pop that it needed, you know. For the exhaust system, I bought the Tectonics tuning. It's a company from Oregon or Colorado. It's somewhere there, and when I installed the catback exhaust, it was extremely quiet. And being the first manual car, I kind of wanted to hear it and also needed it, like to hear it, because you know the first manual drivers, they kind of want and need to hear the car to not stare at their speedometer to know when to shift. So I chopped off the resonator. Didn't do it at all. So, and on the Tectonics tuning catback exhaust, the muffler or the axle back there's a muffler attached to the axle back, so I just didn't use that. And you can really hear the VR6, but there's one downside. It is extremely loud. For the ECM, ECU that's already tuned by Euro Customs Tuning. I believe they're in Pennsylvania, but they shipped me a ECU that's already tuned by them, so I still have the original ECU of this car in case I want to go back to stock. But what's the fun in a stock VR6? Changed out a bunch of stuff on it, 3-point harnesses, bucket seats, some LED lights, side markers over here, because these ones came with the yucky clear, like a normal clear side markers, and those are smoke sequential side markers. Next plan for this is definitely maintaining it first before modifying it any other way. Like, I can tell the top bearings and bushings on both sides are going out, because on these ones you can tell by how far up the top of the strut is, and this driver's side is higher than that. Second thing, when I did the clutch on it, I forgot to put the metal plate that sits between the motor and the trans. I think that's why it's leaking. Either that or I just screwed up the rear main seal when I did it. So that's not fun. That's definitely going to be somewhere down the road. So it doesn't pour out oil like Niagara Falls, but you know, it still leaks oil. I'd rather have it not leak oil. Definitely fix the primary fan. That is actually a new one that I put on there. The only one that's working is the secondary smaller fan. So either the fan that I got was just faulty, or it's something wiring related. We'll buy another springs for the rear, because it needs to be lowered. It looks so hideous. I'm not into stance at all, but that wheel gap back there is ridiculous. It needs to be smaller than that. And that's big from a guy that is not even a fan of stance. Paint is horrible. It's peeling. I know you can't really see it because of the dirt all over the car, but it's peeling. The clear coat is peeling, so it needs to be redone for sure. There's not really any major problems really that I know of. I know I researched a little bit about this car, and timing chain is a must on these ones. And how do I say this? I don't have a history of it being done at all, so I'll probably do that in the near future. It's not really a need to do it now, because like I said, this car, it hardly gets driven, probably once every 2 weeks or so. As far as future plans, I don't really know. Turboing it, I know is out there. I don't know. I just like the sound of just NA VR6. None of you have ever heard NA VR6. Just pure VR6. No turbos, no superchargers. They sound pretty good, even though they sound like Chewbacca. No other cars can sound like that.